Hi there, this is called the Circling Vultures and it's in the extremely tricky Traxler variation, which is sometimes called the Wilkes Barre variation of the two knights defence, in which black scavenges white's defences. e4 and e5, knight f3, hitting the pawn on e5, defended by knight c6, bishop c4, and the two knights defence with knight f6. White goes for the heavily analysed knight g5, targeting f7, where black will almost invariably defend with d5, but here we're looking at the beautiful Traxler variation, bishop c5, giving up the pawn on f7. Well, white can take with bishop takes on f7 or knight takes f7. We're looking at the knight takes f7 line, which the novice will usually play, since it inflicts material damage immediately by issuing a fork to the queen and the rook. But black doesn't move the queen or the rook, but sacrifices the bishop on f2. Well, if the king decides to accept that bishop, king takes f2, then knight takes on e4 is a check, and white is usually advised to drop the king back to g1, but interesting is the move king e3, which I'd like to look at the moment. The great scholars of this opening, the two knights defense, Yakov Estrin, and more recently Joseph Palkowy in his book The Two Knights Defense, Palkowy totally dismisses this move, king e3, not because of queen h4, but Palkowy likes queen e7, because if knight takes on h8, he suggests d5, because if bishop takes on d5, then queen c5 check is extremely good for black. But what perhaps Palkowy overlooks in this position, after d5, white can play queen h5, and that seems to be better for white in my book. So that move king e3 shouldn't be dismissed too quickly. King g1 is the most popular move, which often leads to perpetual check and a quick draw. But if the king goes home to e1, then we can expect queen h4 check, threatening as well to invade on f2 if the king moves to e2 or to f1. So g3 interposes, but knight takes on g3, popular sacrificial idea. When white recaptures, h takes on g3, queen takes the rook on h1, and white is already losing. If the bishop now drops back to f1 to interpose, then castling is a good alternative for black, and white really has nothing. If queen e2, the game's over after knight d4 hitting the queen. Maybe white offers an exchange of queens, which black can accept because he's so materially ahead. After queen takes on g2, bishop takes on g2. Now black's knight comes in to c2, taking on c2, check rook, king d1, and knight takes a1 is game over. White might continue with a move like bishop to d5, trying to create something there. Black could play rook takes on f7, that's ample to win, or even ignore it and just play d6 with a totally winning advantage for black. So this has been called the Circling Vultures in the Traxler Wilkes Barre variation of the two knights defense. Thanks for watching. Bye bye.